So it's happening silently and most will miss it. In today's video, we'll talk about what that is, which direction price is most likely to go. And believe it or not, we are still range bound. Price is caught within a pretty tight trading range. We haven't left either side of that trading range as of yet. We had the FOMC, of course, last night. The Fed dropped the interest rates by 0.25%. And now we have to wait till the next one. But one of the important things that's going to be coming up, remember, is the Bank of Japan, which is, I think it's about a week's time from now, almost exactly a week. And we'll see what they're going to do if they decide to raise interest rates. That could be a little bit of fear that comes back into the market because of the cash and carry trade unwind that is a constant thing that every time they raise, you get a little bit of a dip within price. It could provide some opportunity. We'll have a look at the levels on the price chart and where that's most likely to send things next. We'll also have a look at all the various different trades that we've been in. I did update the whale room community this morning, so just quickly having a look at that. We had the Apple short trade slightly in profit. We're going to manage that carefully because there's a chance that spikes back up. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. We have the Monero long trade also in profit. Hardly puked like the other cryptos did. No full retrace on Monero. That's holding up. We have the gold long trade. We're still scaling into that, but it's taking its time. We have the ETH long, which is up a whole lot, but we're going to have to also manage that carefully because ETH BTC looks like it's put in a little bit of a local top. So I'll show you the levels to watch out on that. MicroStrategy is short in massive profits. I still think it can bounce to about 240 to 260. And then World Liberty Finance short, also still on the table, stops at break even. And that's it. See you guys on the next one. Goodbye. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. Don't go anywhere. Let's go through a couple of these things. But that is the update, right? That is the update. Vote. Yes, also vote. Please go and vote on the poll. Where are you making the most money right now? Stocks, crypto, commodities, or McDonald's? Which one? Vote over there. Let me know your thoughts. About 43% of you seem to have a plus. Congratulations on the new role. I'm glad that you're making money. Everyone's got to eat at some point, right? So let's get into the commodities, which a lot of you have voted that you're actually making some cash there. 9% of you, which is great. This is a little bit slow moving, but it's eventually when it expands over here, you're going to get a sizable swing trade. And I think it's a safer trade than what the risk to reward on some of the cryptos are providing. And it's chopping about slow grind, right? Slow grind. We did establish a little bit of a trade within that circle over there. So some of that position has been filled, slowly moving towards the upside. Will you get this move down into that purple 50% level? Of course, I don't have a crystal ball. I'd love to see a little bit of a flush down over there, but right now it looks like this thing's slowly grinding and it probably wants to follow silver, which we know what happened next. Remember, we're comparing these things to each other. If we put them side by side, there you have it. Gold, there you have silver. So if you relate them to each other, well, essentially gold being over here is effectively how silver was grinding through this part. And look what came next. Big move up, little consolidation, another big move up. So just bull flag after bull flag. Whereas unfortunately for most cryptos, we have the exact opposite, which is bear flag after bear flag, right? So anyway, food for thought. Let's keep an eye out on that one. Let's go into the rest of the markets. The S&P 500 futures still holding up above the yellow box. That's okay. Slow grind towards the upside. Dow Jones, a little bit of a better bid than the S&P 500, holding above the yellow box, slight move towards the upside. QQQ, same thing, holding up over there. Russell small caps also moving towards the upside. So all in all, that's good. And then we need to go through to the Apple trade, which I gave whale room over here. So this would be the trade setup. You're really squeezing into the apex of that rising wedge formation, which simultaneously is tagging the top of the parallel channel. So pretty significant over there. Oftentimes, these formations tend to break down. So certain Magnificent 7 stocks are showing some weakness, while the overall S&P 500 is still grinding towards the upside. Look, at the end of the day, there's a lot of volatility, and there's going to be a whole lot more into next year, right? As you come to the top of a broader cycle. So therefore, we're looking for both longs and shorts on whatever the best trade setup is. And this is purely, to be clear, a hedge, right? This is a hedge against some of the other long positions within the traditional markets. And it is the short trade that's set up over here. Of course, if price starts to hold above that 289 level, you can start to stop out of that trade. So I'm holding that. We haven't seen enough to confirm any kind of a breakdown. We are maybe entering into this a little bit preemptively, a little bit early. If you do want a better, safer entry, you're going to enter into the short at a lower price. but you'll have better confirmation if you can start to take out on a closing basis those lows. If you can sweep this, start to close below those candles on a low basis, 275, then you might have a better indication that this is actually breaking down. So again, I want to be clear, I'm a bit preemptive on this, but it is what it is. We are managing that trade really carefully. NVIDIA is trying to fight for its life to get back above 184, which is a key level. We have Tesla, which is still grinding towards the upside. We spoke about anything that comes back into 412, probably a decent area. Keep in mind, there's probably a lot of stop losses placed over here at 380. That's going to be the logical place. So if you get a little bit of a flush down into that 380 as a stop hunt, it could be a good opportunity for those of you that want to position into Tesla, which Tesla falls into the AI sector, right? It's one of the actually best AI companies that's out there, because you have to think of all of their intelligence that they've gathered through their Tesla vehicles, right? As they're traveling around recording everything. Of course, they're saving that information over there. Anyways, Coinbase looks similar to Bitcoin. Potential that this forms a bear flag, so you want to be careful on that one. Circle, relief rally probably coming into about $100 over there, maybe at an extreme case 112, and then I'd be looking for downside. MicroStrategy, again, that is the move up that we're looking for complacency bounce, and then a rejection. We've already covered 75% of the short trade. So that's it. Let's get into crypto very, very, very quickly. There are shorts that are trying to dominate the market over here, and we're starting to see a little bit more of an aggressive skew. We've reached that 4.27% level. Typically 5% or more is enough to start to look for maybe a bit of a counter trend move, or a mean reversion, right? Meaning a spike back towards the upside to close this gap and the equilibrium. 4.27 low timeframes to see if there is anything over there. Liquidations, majority now on the long side, right? So anyone who's high leverage and trading this market on leverage is getting flushed left, right, and center. Yesterday we saw was 333 million out of the 450-ish million that got liquidated on the short side. Today, well, it's the almost equal and opposite, but on the long side. The daily exchange volume continues to diminish, which is, of course, a warning sign that any rally that occurs should be taken with a pinch of salt, and you need to be really, really careful. The ETF flow is slowly grinding up, but nothing of major significance to turn that corner yet. So deadlock, right? Deadlock, which is what I said yesterday, as per the poll results between big breakout or breakdown. You guys were split about half-half, and I said that probably means that price just goes exactly sideways, caught within a trading range, and that's what we have. Now, the trends are still down. The market cycle peak, ROI from peak to trough, is following in accordance with those price cycles. So will we start to get some acceleration towards the downside? Well, if it follows like the price cycles, you should expect that's a possibility. And you're starting to create this bullish order block. We said that if the bulls are going to take control in crypto and Bitcoin in the short term, what you need to see is the USDT dominance making its move down towards about 5.2% to form that higher low. That higher low equals Bitcoin's put in its high, Bitcoin comes down, that equals that complacency bounce into about that 100 to 105K region would be in that circled area. But that only happens if this comes down. I told you that the longer that this maintains sideways price action over here, the less likely you get that complacency bounce, and the more likely this forms a bull flag that will ultimately break price or the USDT dominance all the way up to 8%. So therefore, do not step in front of the trends. The trends are unfortunately still towards the downside for Bitcoin. You can see the EMA is rolling over the 21 and the 50 EMA, and anything that rallies up into that, which currently, they situated between 99,000 and about 102,000. That is going to be a dead cat bounce relief rally, a cluster of resistance that they'll fight hard to get through. And yeah, you should expect that anything that goes into that's probably going to be sold. So therefore, you're in the middle of no man's land. Still, unfortunately, your next major support comes in at that $70,000 level. If this does break down, as a bear flag, it would probably drop you slightly below that, but there will be bounces along the way. Liquidity, very thin. Most of the books have been wiped, and this has been the case for, not only days, but pretty much weeks. You can see it took the top side, came back down. You have a little bit on the downside over here, but it's very, very, very choppy. Volume declining, points of control still haven't been able to get above that green line. 95,647, downsloping trend line golden pocket between those price labels. Basically, a lot of resistance. You need something big from the bulls to change the direction of this. You need a huge move up, and then you would have to consolidate. So ultimately, bears are in control, and the longer that this grinds like this, the more likely this starts to look like a bear flag. And again, you can go and measure the move. Measured move goes from the top to the base of the flag, and unfortunately, it takes you somewhere down here. But we won't talk about that, right, until it happens. Alrighty, we won't. So downtrend, it's clear as day, right? Downtrend over there, still the case. 50 EMA coming into play, in a bigger relief rally. So maybe you're going to put in a high low over here. That's a possibility, right? You could just put in a high low over here and grind up. But big resistance coming into that 97 to 98K region, which is all in alignment with everything else that I showed you. But keep in mind that the price cycle 2021, Bitcoin topped at 69K, dropped all the way down to like, I think it was like 30, 40K. We can go back to it. I'll do it now. And then rallied up slowly, slow grind up to 48K to create a bear flag and then broke down. So you need to be careful that something similar to that is not about to happen, right? So let's go back to it. I'll show you over here. This is it over here, right? So you put in your top, came all the way down. Ultimately, price came, there it is. Wait, where are we? We are not even in the right place. Let's go. We have to go way back. Here it is. There it is. Okay, so price came down, looks very similar, right? Price comes down, grinds, rallies up to 48K, and then you could see this over here. So I'm just going to quickly draw it in. You could see this over here. Big bear flag and measured move takes it pretty much perfectly to the lows. One big bear flag took it to the lows. So something to consider. Go on for a while, right? You can continue the slow grind for quite some time. Like to play out something similar, you could easily maintain this parallel channel all the way up, even to as much as about $100,000, but it's still going to look very similar to what happened in 2021. So be careful over there. But look, you can just use a parallel channel. You can kind of just monitor this channel, and I guess you can play all the little longs off there if you are bull. But as soon as it breaks below and holds underneath that, you probably want to get out of that position. You're still recontracting on the volatility. At least you're holding above the middle Bollinger Band over there, but we're still waiting the bigger move. So another rejection coming off of that yearly open, price coming down, hit the Monday low. If you're a range trader, it's late in the week, though. I don't like to play the Monday range too late in the week. Is there a chance that you'll run it up one more time? You've been gifted 2 trades long, sweep the high, and then back down for the low. So that was a 3% move. Remember, we identified this early on Monday and Tuesday. We said you have a 3% range for longs and shorts over here. I know that a lot of the traders in Whale Room did take this, so congrats to you guys. But looks heavy. I don't want to step in front of this. It looks heavy. Good chance that this makes another move down, after this whole FOMC. We also have more data coming out, by the way. Let's go down. I think it's the jobs that's coming out later today. So we have initial jobless claims, 5:30 my time. That's on the Whale Trades website over there. Remember, guys, you can use the site for free. Everything is over there, linked in the description below. If you just go through to Whale Trades, there we go. All your data in one place, 100% for free. There have been updates, so go and check it out. Go on the different pages over here, Data Hub, etc. Tools. If you want to see how massively up you are, down you are, put in your values over here. Use the position size calculator. Calculate your risk. Do not get wrecked, right? There's no way you can get wrecked if you calculate your risk. That's the important part. Anyways, let's see. Will we get a Christmas rally? That's a big question, right? At the moment, look, stock market, it's possible for a slow grind, but I don't think we can get the type of Christmas rallies that we've seen in the past, the prior Christmases, right, that we've had. Remember, we're giving away Rolexes and things like that in the past. Now we're giving out ramen packs. So if you want a ramen pack, please email ramen@cryptobanter.com. We'll send you 10 packs of ramen. Anyways, with that being said, if you, on a serious note, if you are actively trading and you want to make money, there is currently a big trading competition, $50,000 up for grabs on BitUnix, and you get an iPhone 17 Pro Max, which you can take pictures of your 50 grand in cold hard cash and post it on Instagram for everyone to see. So if you want to join that competition, the link is in the description below over there. That is for of course, for BitUnix. And there's no KYC, which is absolutely beautiful over there. No KYC to sign up. Big sign-up bonuses. They might still be offering it. It was like a 20% sign-up bonus, which means if you deposited $10,000, you'll get $2,000. Okay. Gibson likes ramen. Well, you know where to email us. ramen@cryptobanter.com. Alrighty, cool. Let's go through some of these other coins and things that we had listed over here. So we'll work through that. We've already covered Apple. I showed you what to look at. XMR long. Let's have a look at the XMR long. We in profit. You know, is it going to give all of this up? That is the question. Let's go on the 4-hourly chart. So we've come into the key area. This is based off of a high time frame weekly chart. If this can just grind up and start to gain acceptance above 461, it should go. You should start to get a bigger move within this chart over here. So I'm going to quickly just mark out, you know, a couple of these range levels over here. Let's just grab our, our fib. Let's grab our fib over here. I just want to mark out approximately. So you can see you've hit that 0.32 level, most importantly, above that 50% zone. So you kind of want to defend this low. I think at this point, it's worth just eliminating the risk, move your stops to break even, and that's it. Shave 5% off even if you want. Just take like 5% profit since you're at that range high. 5% over there, testing the range high. You know, if you break out, consolidate, and break out above this, you have 95% of the position left, and this thing's ready to go. So that's XMR. That's updating you on that trade. We already covered you on gold. ETH, we up a bunch. We up a bunch on the ETH trade, but let's anyway have a look at it. Because I spoke about this at the time, which was the falling wedge formation. We need to be very careful. This isn't a fake out. Falling wedge formation that came into key support. So we built that long trade up over here, which is why we up 22% on that trade right now. But yeah, let's go back to this. But you can see that's starting to look like a bit of a local top. So we need to be careful on the ETH BTC chart to see that this can defend this level. Ultimately, you, of course, don't want to go below that candle low, which is going to be 0.03302. You don't want to go below that candle low. You want to defend this. So you want to start to form a bit of a chop and apply pressure into that green line. If you can get above that, it's going to look good for ETH BTC, which means it's probably good for the ETH USD pair. Now you've tagged that golden pocket, and that's what we spoke about. We said likely to reject off there. And then when that rejection occurs, you want to see price hold above that 50% level at 3,270. So here we are. Well, of course, full bearish case scenario comes into play if you do take out that low. If you give up that low, you're coming all the way back down, at which point I would say, yes, this is a local top, and this is probably going to be gunning for those ETH BTC lows as well. So yeah, keep an eye out on this. Let it chop about. I don't think there's a massive rush. Give it a couple of, this is a 4-hourly chart. You can give it a couple of days, honestly, to form a bit of a range over here. But risk to reward, well, look, I mean, if I'm saying that, that's the full invalidation, right? If you engulf this candle, that's full invalidation. What does that mean? The closer you can enter to the invalidation point, the less risk you take on, which therefore means that, you know, if you were looking for a long trade on Ethereum, this basically would be at pretty low risk because you don't want to take out that low. So you're risking 3.58% away as your stop loss, and then you can trade this higher. I'm not going to give you the TP levels, like it's one step at a time, but ultimately, I mean, if it made it to 4K, which is the ultimate range highs, that will look really good. So there is an opportunity for you guys on ETH. For anyone that hasn't had any positions on the table, you have probably a little bit of a upsloping trend line support as well coming into play. We can quickly throw that in. There we go. Throw it in for the boys and the girls. Little trend line over here. You know, it's ramen today, but possibly lobster tomorrow. This starts to bounce out of here. Okay. There we go. So there is a trade setup. There is a trade setup for you. I think this is a decent trade setup. It makes sense. Just follow it on a low time frame. Everything is, you know, nothing is static. Everything is dynamic when it comes to trading. That's what so many people fail to understand. I feel very sorry for them. They do their head in, right? They go crazy. That's why not everyone can trade well. They don't understand the ability to be dynamic. What could be bullish now could be incredibly bearish on this chart in 1 hour's time if you're trading that back below 3,000. So there we go. Next, we got ETH. So I said there, it needs to base out. Basically what I said to the guys in Whale Room, rejected and is now below the 50% level. Basically, ETH needs to form a base over here around that 3,200 level. So let's go back to that. This is the 3,200 level. You need to base out over here. You need to hold this, get back above that 3,270 level, and then it's going to start to look a little bit better. MSTR already updated you on that. And then the World Liberty Finance trade. Also, I need to make a very important announcement. 4 people, please see me in the principal's office. Crypto D101, Crypto 08, Bekoretsu, and who is this last one? Shimito, in the principal's office. Please come and see me as soon as possible. Let's go back onto World Liberty Finance. That was the other one I needed to show you guys. It's doing okay. It's holding up on the short trade. You're in the money. I mean, what else can we say? You're in the money over here. Absolutely in the money. This is down 12%, which is pretty decent, right? 12% over there. Like, don't come cry to me if you didn't make money off this trade. I gave it to you all early. You testing these lows, 1, 2, 3, 4, very likely to break down. Okay, very likely to break down. Why the eggplant? I mean, I guess they're a bunch of vegans. So what else can we say? Okay, so look, this could be forming an order block on a serious note. This could be a bearish order block forming right now that's going to lead to the next move down. So 5% profit, even 10% profit probably makes sense. Stops already at break even. That way you at least pay yourself. And that's it. Alrighty, hype. Sure, we can go to hype. So those are some of the things we're looking at. Remember, if you want to take any of these trades, I gave you a trade idea right now on Ethereum. You know, join into the competition. If you're not already in that competition, join into the competition. This competition is only for, 23 days for you to enter. 23 days for you to enter. And it's only for you guys, no one else. It's only for the whale crew, which means $50,000 could be yours because you're not competing against millions and millions and millions of people, right? So 50K could be yours. And then you can take a picture of that with your iPhone 17 Pro. You'll probably get one of those orange ones. Okay, let's go to hype. Hyperliquid. Where is hype here? Hype is over here. Let's hype. Not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good. Hype is in distribution. Low, this thing's bad. It's broken now below super key level. You didn't want to do that. This was actually the level to reclaim. I did speak about that at the time. I said, yes, you're hitting key support, but really you need to get back above the yellow box over there. Failed to do that, rejected from there, breaking down lower lows and lower highs. Of course, there will be bounces along the way. I can pretty much add them in for you, just so you can work out how much money you're going to lose on the way down, because that's probably why you're asking. But how many ramen packs should we send you? Because we need to make sure that you guys still have food, right? ramen@cryptobanter.com will sort you out. So there will be support levels along the way. Those orange lines will be tagged, which is insane if you think of it. This was the 10-10 event, right? The mass liquidation. You're basically going to come back for that. Hello from Ecuador. Well, good day from Dubai. Welcome. Welcome, friends. Still in the Zcash short? Yes, I am. I'm in the Zcash short. Syrup short, I think we got stopped out on, but we didn't lose any money. Let's go to syrup. So syrup, we got stopped out on this candle over here. I told you take 10 to 15% profit. This is why I say that. Stops are at break even, 10 to 15% profit. Boom, price spiked up, took the rest of the position out, but you still got paid. Okay. Alrighty, guys, I'm checking out your comments over here. Zcash. Okay, let's look at Zcash because I'm still in the short, but I actually think that this is going to run potentially all the way back up to 577. But we traded all the way back down. Like you had an opportunity for full TP over here and even to flip long W formation breakout. That suggests that you could play out easily to 515. And if it overextends, I think Zcash goes to like 575, and somewhere between 515 and 575 will be very likely to be the lower high, the complacency bounce. But I will update you, of course. I'll update you because what did I just say? Don't be too static. You have to be dynamic and have the ability to change. It's hilarious in the chats when you look. People always reveal their ignorance. They think they're being so smart when they call you like a flip-flopper and things like that. But it reveals their ignorance, because that's a superpower in trading, is being able to flip-flop based on new information. So like, you know, if you ever read that, if anybody ever tells you you're a flip-flopper, they're just revealing that they're ignorant when it comes to how markets work. Like, what is this, a religion? Like, we're not here to die on our sword of being a bull or bear. And if I had to choose a direction for life, it would be a bull, because markets generally move up. You should actually respect people that can trade the market both ways. Yes, a flip-flopper. I mean, the comments across various different channels, because I look at the other people's channels as well. And obviously the markets, you know, sentiment-wise is not in a good state. So that's where I pick up all these names from. Okay, cool. What else? What else? New meme is flippy floppy. In South Africa, flip-flops are what I don't know what you guys are talking about. Okay. Okay, you can see that this group is mostly men. Male-dominated chat over here. You see what I mean? It flips when I flop. Okay, let's check out your poll results, guys. Stocks, 18%. I'm glad to hear that some of you are making money in the stock market and within stocks. That's why I'm trying to integrate this stuff for you. Crypto is still a majority, right? Actually, McDonald's is a majority, but out of the things you can actually trade, crypto, 31%. Still, a lot of you are making money in crypto. You just have to be dynamic. If you long only, you're not making any money. You've been wrecked. That's why you have to look for the short trades as well. But you don't want to hold shorts for long periods of time. That's the key thing. If you're holding short trades, you want to get in and get out, right? You want to make your money. Like these aren't swing trades. It's very difficult to be swing short. Short trades you hold for, you know, hours, maybe a few days. Very, very rarely will it be weeks to months, if ever. Okay, we've checked hype. We have checked hype. All right, how many people do we have live now? How many of you have voted? 1,048 votes. We got about 1,500 of you that are live on the video today. Share the love, drop something in the comments. Even if you want to call me a flip-flop, whatever you want to call me, just let me know in the comments, guys. Join the BitUnix competition and check out the Whale Trade site. We have updated a whole bunch of tools for you to make your life easy. I'll see you all on the next one. Have a good day and cheers for now.